up. As you know, recent legislation that has been signed is financially beneficial to the district. Unfortunately, we are in the final year 2 of our new facilities waiting. So we will be losing $1.9 million of funding that we have received for the past 2 years. The net of those two numbers, while it does create a net positive gain in financial revenue for next year, when we put the pieces of the budget puzzle together for next year, we find ourselves needing approximately $625,000 in additional funding to balance the budget. I'm getting ready to show you, hopefully, the results of program budgeting, which are what you have seen before. And on this schedule, if we were to stay true to program budgeting, we could find those cost reductions and find that additional funding by going down through special education and finding $625,000 in additional funds for next year. What that would mean is that those programs in gray would have a reduction of 2% in their budget for next year. It would mean high school instruction, middle school instruction, elementary instruction, health services, and technology would all be funded at 100% for next year. It is our recommendation that the board take action and approve these cost reductions for next year. Are there any questions in doing that?
Do any of these take from classroom funding?
From classroom funding, the special education piece removes 1 special education certified position and 7 classified paras for special education. And let's see, Darren, you had a half.
Supplemental, there were 2 paras.
2 paras and supplemental, okay.
And another question. You know, the presentation we heard earlier about young kids reading, and this proposes to cut media services as well. You know, realizing the budget is such a, we talked earlier, it's constantly moving, and you got to plan for the worst and hope for the best. The way this is set out there, it's sort of a hierarchical list, and like for instance, special education, which is a principal piece of all of these, of what might be considered cuts to the classroom. Is that right?
That's correct.
And yet, if we are fortunate and don't have to have cuts so deep, for whatever reasons, we may not go very deep into special education, for instance, because it's sort of at the last of the list.
If as we put the budget together, we have better information that tells us we have additional funding, or possibly the expenses aren't as much as we anticipate that they will be, then yes, the first thing to be put back at 100% or not fully cut through its program would be special education and move up through the list.
And I don't know what to do about the media services thing. It's that program budgeting process. A lot of this comes back to the individual cost centers at the buildings and how they allocate their funds. So I would presume that you've got an important piece of a successful building program, that cost center staff will be on top of how to keep the good times rolling.
The cost center money that is allocated to those cost centers, the principals have the discretion to use those funds as they see fit. So even though we have a guideline across the district of what we like to see, what we expect to see in media services spending, if any particular building wants to put more in, that's absolutely fine. I do monitor it to make sure that as a district, across the district, we are seeing the media services budget that we had originally planned for. But it can be more should different principals decide to allocate more to those budgets.
Just to clarify, media services, as you know, I might be thinking of Buffalo Broadcasting Services. We're talking about the library, right?
Absolutely, the library. And predominantly is gonna be librarians, and then the rest of their budget's gonna go towards books.
Other comments? Or-
Just, I do have a question to help me understand it. If you can add to, if principals can add to media services budgets, can they also reduce?
They can,
They can take money out and use it for other things within the building?
they can. For example, after they do their initial cost budgets, and we're getting ready to do that for next year, I will look at them and see, as a whole, across the district, did we spend the money we wanted to? I also look at it from a couple perspectives, spending per pupil, to make sure that we are somewhat in line. If there are buildings that are completely out of line, I have gone back and addressed them. They have the option in January of each year to readdress their cost center budgets based on the actual student counts. That will affect their cost center budget. And this past year, we actually did go back to some of the buildings and encourage them, unless they had a good reason not to spend a reasonable amount as deemed across the district, or to discuss with their librarian why they didn't put as much money in as maybe the librarian thought they should. And there were changes at that time to increase that funding.
Why do we allow that? If we are responsible for the budget and set the budget, we say this is the budget we want, why does the principal have the authority to change what we voted on? I don't understand that.
Clarify that a little more for me, Tim, because we do spend X amount of dollars in media services, like $273,798.
But
Or no, wait a minute.
did I misunderstand?
I'm sorry.
I thought-
I'm sorry, the savings that is netted there is $22,326 that is coming from that. So 98% of that budget is still there. That must be spent on media services.
Then I must misunderstood. Did you not just say that the principals could take money away from?
There's an there's two pieces. It's almost like an apple and an orange. There's an overriding amount of money that we give to the principals to allocate in their building.
Which is from
Which is
the
from,
elementary instruction, or no?
it's just from an overall allocation based on the number of students they have at 920. They then get to divvy that up amongst media services, teaching supplies, books, whatever they feel like they need in their building. We give them the ability to, it's not an allocation that says you have $2.20 per student to spend on books. Overall, you have X amount of dollars per student that we're giving you, but how you divide it up is your choice. The reason we do that is because not every building is the same. Their needs might be different in one building library than another, depending primarily maybe demographics of those students. You might need more books at a certain level than what we had last year. Whatever needs that they have in their particular building may not be worth $2.22 per student in the library. This building may need $3.30, and this, because we spent money last year in our library, we only need $1.87 per student in our library. And that gives them the ability to spend the extra money in a little bit different manner, or next year spend more money and reduce teaching supplies or something that they think is not as necessary this year, so that we can put more money in the library. Depending on the circumstances in their building, we give them some leeway in how they want to spend the allocation of money that we give them.
So it's not like you're giving each principal or administrator of each building free reign at, let's say, $100,000. They can put $90,000 in sports and $10,000 in the media. There are certain criteria that each building has to meet per pupil or per student, and the square footage. I'm sure there's a ton of dollars that go into each different department, and that's why this program budgeting happens. And I've said on that thing with plant facilities a long time ago, and to pinch a penny in that area, and you can see where it lists right there, they struggle. So I understand that. I'm kind of, going off of Tim here. Not each administrator gets a free rein of money and just says, I'm gonna do it this way. I know there's a certain criteria we have to meet.
We give them some leeway and then it's administered, from within my office to make sure that it looks reasonable across the board with how they're spending in comparison to their peers.
I think if you look at the building principals and instructional leaders of the building, they're in charge of trying to move that building forward academically. They are giving a building budget to use to be able to make some decisions on how to best meet that goal. And they're monitored here at central office by KJ in reference to, are they allocating money throughout the building to accomplish that goal? Or are they skewed one way or the other? If someone put $75,000 or $50,000 in the library, and it was a relatively, average building, you'd probably say, have some questions. Why did you put that much money there? What's your plan for that money? How's that gonna benefit the kids? How's that gonna move the building forward academically? But as the instructional leader of the building, they do have some discretion of how to hit that goal.
I understand. I just feel reading's very important, and the teachers, as they talk tonight, and other staff meetings we've been through, they talk about books and reading. To hear, principals can take away from the libraries to fund other things, that I just didn't understand. I thought, once we set the budget, that was what we want the schools to do, but there's a bigger picture I'm understanding now.
What you're saying is true. That is what we want the buildings to do, but we're saying we're also allowing tweaks to
No, I
happen,
understand,
not
that's why I say,
redirection of.
that's why I say, I understand the bigger picture.
Yeah.
That they have to, hey, the furnace broke, we need to move some money and fix the furnace. I got it,
Yeah.
that's why we're here to ask questions.
Yeah, I think that was a great discussion.
Yeah, I got it.
I think there's good oversight on the discretionary funds, if that's the term to use. I think the program budgeting, as with Alex, I've said on previous to being on the board, I had the opportunity to go through the program budgeting process several years. And it gives us as a board good feedback as to the direction that the community and the teachers and the administration, how they want us to prioritize where the monies that we have available are to be spent. My kids all played sports. If I was voting activities, it'd be up there way higher than it is. So, I feel very strongly that we recognize and support this process that is way more community involvement at this level than you see out of many other districts.
I'm looking forward to the day when we can do a 2% addition instead of 2%. No kidding. I'm looking forward to when we don't have the gray areas and we can just fully fund everything. I move to adopt the prioritization list for Luck Emily. Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? Rick, board policies.
Well, and we could give you 12 or 15 of these, but decided to give these policies to you in small bites. These are recommended by the Kansas Association of School Boards for revision. Your attorney has looked at them as well. There's 3 policies here for you to review. All of them are grouped in the area of personnel. Relatively minor changes in substance, and I would just encourage you to review them over the next couple of weeks. And if I don't hear back from you, then we'll put them on the consent agenda to make the changes. But if we do, we're always glad to open it up for discussion if the board wishes, because these are your policies, that once you pass them, that's our our marching orders, try to implement them with fidelity. And I think you saw that this evening in reference to the first grade readiness. When you passed that pilot program, it charged us with implementing that. It became policy, and charged us to implement that with fidelity across the board. And that's all we tried to do. And good discussion tonight in reference to it, because it's something that's probably going to evolve over time, but I think we are headed the right track, particularly with the empowerment of teachers, but in 2 or 3 years, it could look a lot differently. So. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Rick? Okay. Looks like we've got some executive session, or excuse me, board open discussion. The Alternative Education Center graduation is Saturday at 10 o'clock at the Methodist Fellowship Hall. Are there any board members available to attend? 10 o'clock Saturday at the Methodist Fellowship Hall. Yep. We'll be there, and possibly. Okay, looks like there's more of a possibility. Thank you.
I did have something else.
Right?
I just wanted, today is May 5th, and I wanted to wish everyone a happy Cinco de Mayo. So it's an important celebration in our community, and I'm really pleased to have a board meeting on this evening. Otherwise, I would be out eating at a restaurant somewhere, celebrating properly. Anyway, happy Cinco de Mayo.
The other thing I had is, again, this is the stuff that I brought back from New Orleans and the National School Board Convention. Anybody wants it, if not, I'll leave it with Teresa, but then I'll be here. Great.
Just a comment, I decided who was going to be at graduation for the alternate school. I am proud to report, right now today, and not that number can't change, and it will change to the positive if it changes, we have 38 graduates. 38 graduates, and that's really a tribute to Ron, his team, and the support of the Board of Education to help these kids or these young adults. There's a good chance they would have been lost, a good percentage of them without this program. So there's an example of making a difference for a few people. There goes the amount increasing. So.
All right.
This time of year, there's so many things going on. One of the things I wanted to take note of, and is just for the board to think about, or actually for the administration to take note of, is that this community has a long-standing tradition of a community band. And that community band is just fun to go out in the summer and listen to. They have been so good at not only bringing in talent from all over the region to play, but also inviting the high school kids to play with them. And that's a mentoring opportunity that I think is outstanding. So that season is coming through the summer. And I think they've been able to utilize, I think they were band room at the old high school. And that's just been a great working relationship. So I hope the community band continues, the mentoring continues with our high school talent. And then to the extent that it works for folks overseeing USD 457 facilities, they can support that.
Anything else, Tim, on the side?
This Friday, we're celebrating our Real Man, Real Leader mentoring group. We've been mentoring the 5th, 6th grade center boys at the Bernadine 6 and Charles Stoners. This is our 3rd year. We've mentored approximately 100 boys after this year, and we've using the high school students, boys and girls, the elementary students, and just some outstanding kids that are doing some outstanding things. Our program continues to grow. We're hoping to start mentoring the young girls next year. So big banquet this Friday, and just keep those kids in your prayers and in your mind. Great kids.
What's it called again?
Real Men, Real Leaders. It's a mentoring program.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
Just one comment in reference to what Mr. Rude had to say here about our buildings being used, facilities being shared. And I think, as you know, in our long-range facilities, or long-range 5-year strategic plan, the board recommends that we create partnerships with our community and utilize our facilities. Your facilities and our facilities are being used a lot. And you gave a very good example, live on stage. You could go on and on and on with the activities that go on in our buildings that would be co-curricular or extracurricular or fundamental to building programs here in the city and in the school district. So our facilities are used, and they're not abused, they're used. So,
Okay, looks like we've got an executive session